Hi, I'm Stacey Hyde, and I'm back with another episode of Better Financial Health in 15 minutes or less. And today I would like to talk about savings, particularly what's the importance of saving in different areas and how do you prioritize that. So, as you've probably heard me say before, if you've been around for just a minute listening to these podcasts, you'll know that the first thing I think you should do is to get $1,000 in a savings account. Preferably a high yield savings account so you're earning an excess of 4% on it, and it's preferably not at the same bank as your local bank, so that it's gives you a little bit of boundaries around that savings, because that helps you kind of get it out of sight, out of mind. I've seen too many people have a savings account and they diligently put money in it, but they also almost as diligently move money back into their checking account because they can do it so quickly and so easily online. So I think having a separate account at a different bank that's linked via EFT, and there's no fees for it, but it's going to take a couple of days to get it back, that just kind of slows you down just a little bit. So once you have that there, if there's something that you have coming up that is going to be, you're going to need to spend it very quickly, like for example, if you know your car is on its last legs and you're going to need a down payment for that, you'd want to keep saving in that savings account to get there. Also, if you still have credit cards with balances, because those interest rates have really gotten high, you really want to go after those next. But let's assume that you've been smart, you don't have any credit card balances, there's nothing sort of major immediately that you need to save for. Well, at that point, you should put money into your employer's retirement plan, at least up to the match. But don't stop there, because some employer matches only require you to save 6%. You really should be targeting 10 to 15% of your pay as far as contributions to your retirement plan. And the younger you are, in my opinion, the better it is to save in Roth, because yes, you're not getting the tax savings on that, but you're getting an agreement with the IRS that you've paid tax on that money, and all the earnings that accrue, if you wait to pull it out until you're at least 59 and a half, those earnings are going to come out tax-free. Well, over time, what you've put in is going to be a small part of the overall, and most of it is going to be earnings. So you are not co-investing with the IRS like you are in a traditional 401k. Now, any employer contributions, those are always going to be pre-tax. There's nothing you can do about that. But your contributions, I think, should be, particularly if you're under 40, should be Roth. There's some exceptions to that, and we can talk about that in another podcast, but I think that that's a good rule of thumb. And then maybe once you've done that, you're saving your 10 to 15% in your 401k or 403b if you work for a not-for-profit. What then? Well, then I would really go and try to build that savings up to 3 to 6 months of your living expenses, so that if something goes haywire, you are prepared. Also, it's a great idea to save for vacations. This is wedding season, so a lot of folks have a lot of weddings out of town. A lot of times, if you're younger, you're in a lot of weddings, so you've got to buy a dress or rent a tux. And you've got to buy a gift, and maybe you also got invited to a shower or two, and so you really budgeting for that and planning for that ahead of time can really make a big difference in how you're prepared for that. And there's nothing better than going on vacation and knowing that when you get back, the only thing you're going to have on your credit card to deal with is the food that you ate, and maybe the hotels that weren't completely paid for up front and that sort of thing. You've already paid for the tickets and any reservations and things of that nature, and it's not building up on your credit card balance. So that's really how I think about savings and how I would recommend that you approach it. $1,000 in an emergency fund, 10 to 15% into your retirement, and then save after that. And then if you've done all of that, then you can start investing in what we refer to as an after-tax or non-qualified account to help build your wealth, because getting to that money, if you are in the market for a house or you're wanting to start your own business, you can use those assets as a pledge to do something else. You can also sell them and you would pay capital gains on any gains, but you can get to that money before retirement age, and that can come in very handy and just give you some extra. But don't ever confuse money in the markets those are investments. Money in savings, that is your emergency fund, and you don't want to take risk with your emergency fund, because Murphy's Law says when you need to pull that money out, the stock market's going to be down. Well, then you'd be selling stuff at a loss, whereas if you have money in the bank, it doesn't have that upside potential, but it's always going to be worth what it's worth. So that's important, and I would encourage you to kind of let your investments be investments and spread those out, and then have your safety, your emergency fund be in boring savings accounts. Thanks for tuning in. This has been another episode of Better Financial Health in 15 minutes or less.